Welcome everybody, and I just want to say I'll probably move around a bit, so please don't trip me. I like to sort of, you know, if I'm in front of the work, I can speak about it. You know, I find I can't be abstract about, you know, something I've created. If it's in front of me, you know, you can't shut me up. So what I am is an artist who works in photography and film. So I work with a camera, usually all the time. It starts with a camera, and then it becomes something else. So these started off as photographs as we know them, but then became, well, you can tell me what they are now. It took years to develop. The colour took years to do. It's reworking the image all the time to get the palette. The palette, it was so important. The look of it, and, you know, because I shot this work in a secret location, of which I do not reveal. All I can tell you is that it is Western Queensland, and I've written in the catalogue here a little statement. I'll just read that out. Some time back, I travelled with a small photo crew to one of my Indigenous family's ancestral areas, looking for locations to stage a new photo drama using myself and actors. The locations I uncovered were visually featureless, meaning no great dramatic mountain range, forest, or even a decent desert-scape. I only found endless brown scrub. In a sense, the plainness of the location and the dirt triggered my fictional, open-ended narrative. I attempted to fill it in, as if to paint across a blank landscape. So I filled it in. You know, I went looking and there was nothing there. As for a visual artist, meaning there was nothing there striking. There was nothing striking, and so a lot of it, what I conjured, had to come out of my imagination. And it was colourless. You know, Western Queensland, that was right in the drought. So this was some years back that I photographed the work. It was the end of the drought. There was no colour. You know, the desert doesn't get great till you go to Central Australia. Then it turns into Technicolor. Then it turns into Albert Namatjira, the beautiful pinks and the blues and the turquoise and so on, the ochres. Why? How come Central Australia looks great? It's not fair. It's not fair. And you know, they said about, you know, in the 40s and 50s, when Albert Namatjira was painting the desert, it was the first time city dwellers in Australia saw colour. They saw the colour of Central Australia through his painting. The colour photography was not as, well, it had started, you know, the beautiful Kodachrome. I love the 50s, old 50s colour. I have endless books on the history of photography. I'm poring over it all the time. And I look at cinema, old cinema, new cinema, but particularly, you know what I love? I love a Western. I love a cowboy film, and I'll admit to it. Terrible politics, you don't have to tell me, we know, you know, terrible politics, but I love a cowboy film. I love the look of the Western. I think of John Ford and his magnificent, the scenery in his films. He shot a lot at, it's called Monument Valley in Arizona, and we know that location so well. So the colours, like they're burning, that early 1950s Technicolor look to the Western. But also, you know, I found cowboys sexy. You know, and for me, I just love a holster, and I love a gun. I mean, I love for me as a kid playing in the yard, I wanted to be the cowboy. You know, my little butch side. You know, I wanted to be the cowboy, and for me, Oh, and you know, films like Magnificent Seven. Yul Brynner in black. He's all like tight. They're all in these. Everything's James Coburn. All like there's all. They're all Steve McQueen. Who's the other? It's Charles Bronson. They're like gorgeous. So don't get me started. I'll go on and on about a Western. And so here we have. Let's come past. Let's turn and look at behind here. This picture here is called. This is called Justice. And finding the locations. Oh, sorry to make you all turn. That tree there, that was real. I did find that tree, and it looked like a gallows. You know, it's the walk to the gallows. She is, I call that Justice. She's got a stick, and she means business, as does the woman down the end, and her expression. Her expression. It is full of revenge, and the positioning of the photograph within the room, she looks across to the landscape there. So she is looking across. I have called this picture Eagle. You know the expression Eagle Scout, the Scout. I also, maybe I should have called it Black Cockatoo, because I think that it's sort of feathery, her hair. It's the black cockatoo. The black cockatoo is huge too. And it is a bird of prey, is it not? Is it? No. The black cockatoo? Not so much. The eagle is the bird of prey, and so is the vulture and the hawk and so on. So she's a wedge-tailed eagle, I think. And it bothers me that I think I left her face a little red, but you know what? I like the anger, the red, you know, the red face, the anger, and the sort of seething resentment. We all know about that. The picture she looks across to is the landscape. It is called The Gates, and we see the eye follows through the gates, which are in fact electrical poles. I think they look religious. When I'm in the outback, when I'm out west and I see them, there's something, I feel it's biblical. It's got a look, and it's the way my mind thinks. So it's called The Gates, and we can go through the gates and it, you know, follow up to a heaven. You can come down again. Is that hell? And is that the abyss? We go even lower. That is the abyss. Of course, the coloration was not exactly like that. As an artist, I embellish. I add, I withdraw, I take out, I add again, and I go mad. And it went on for years. And I work with a commercial photo lab here in Sydney. And they'd be go, more tests again, Trace. Like, you know, they'd run it through again, just put it through the machine. I didn't work with the art printer. I didn't need an artistic eye on what I was doing. I just needed a machine. You know, a machine. I put the artistic eye on it. And they, after a while, accepted it. They thought it was strange that it took 2 years to print. And of course, a fortune. It cost a fortune. I did keep all the test prints. So I wonder what I will do with them. Will I one day find a giant warehouse and hang them from the beginning to the end? So this is the end. Is that a song? It's a Doors song, isn't it? This is the end. I often talk about music when I talk about my work. It is composing. When you put an image together, you are composing. And I like to think I break the rules. I like to think I reinvent, and I want to reinvent. And that is what bothers me. I just kept printing them, and they looked like everything else. You'd seen it before, it had to change, until what you looked at you hadn't seen before. So that is my goal. It has to be what I haven't seen before. Then I like it. And the thing about instruments and music and fine-tuning, tuning it my way, I think of, I like to, Joni Mitchell would tune the guitar her way, you know, restring it. Didn't she string it back the front? Wasn't the bass at the top? Was she left-handed? And, you know, and I talk about, and I quote Björk, the great Icelandic musician who, she talked about being criticised in her early days as a musician because she played with techno music. You know, it was electronic, and people said, "Oh, why are you playing with that? Because that is so cold." And she said, "No, it isn't. Electronics. If there's no soul in it, it's because I didn't put it in. So you have to put the soul into it." And that is, I think, the same with, so I work with digital photography, and it's about what you put into it, and that you don't blame the instrument. And I know analog and old-fashioned photography is more beautiful. Yes, it is, but I can't do it anymore. I don't know how to use the camera. I've forgotten almost how to print in a dark room. And so for me, it is, I think there's nothing wrong with a computer screen and going to the photo lab to make the picture. And you keep changing colour and changing the colour. So I'm not anti-technology. You know, when Bob Dylan turned electric from folk singer to, name the song. What was the song? What was the festival? What was, no, Newport, correct. It was the Newport Jazz Festival. He turned electric, and people didn't, and the hippies didn't like it. You know, Bob went electric, so. And we liked his folk. We liked his folk music. So there it is. So, you know, if you start to criticise me for becoming digital, then you'll see I will have answers ready to respond, because we embrace technology, and it is the way that you use it and the way it can become, it is what you do with it, and it's the way you play with it, really. And the thing is, I'm technically not very smart, so I work with other technicians. And so really what the work is I've directed it. I've directed it from start to finish, and I still feel I can change it. And the strange look to the work is because I shot them in darkness. They were shot on, you know, that time of day where it's becoming night, the sun is sinking. It's called the magic hour, isn't it? In cinema, cinematographers love to shoot in the magic hour. It's halfway between night, it's halfway between day and night. And it was a nightmare for me then to print the pictures, because everything was in dark and in silhouette. And with digital, it's called, you know, you open up the image, and so guess what you're left with? A lot of garbage. It's called frizzle. It's called artifact, and it looks like, remember when the television used to go off at night? Remember when the telly finished at 12 o'clock? Remember it just went zzz, there was no more television? Remember when it wasn't 24 hours? And it was that frizzle. So that is what I've worked with, the frizzle left on the images and attached colour. So I've attached the colour to you know, basically it's falling apart. The image is falling apart. And I wish to quote the great poet Yeats. Do we have the poem? I think it's marvellous. Yeats, you know, he was a modernist, and after World War I, he wrote... No, Keats. So wait a minute. Yeats, turning into the widening gyre, the centre cannot hold. The centre cannot hold. Also, the widening gyre. I didn't know what a gyre was. The gyre is, you know, gyration in the ocean. It's the whirlpool, those strange, in the middle of the ocean, you'll find the gyre. But he applies it to the threatening storm, burning, the turning, the centre cannot hold. Turning. Someone help me.
Loosed upon the world. I know that bit which comes.
The centre cannot hold.
Loosed upon the world.
And things fall apart. So the centre cannot hold. It's about his disgust over World War I, and the world. The second coming. Brilliant. Go slow. Go slow. Stand up. Sorry. Go.
Turning in the widening gyre. The falcon cannot hear the falconer. Things fall apart, the centre cannot hold. Mere anarchy is loosed upon the world. The blood-dimmed tide is loosed and everywhere. The ceremony of innocence is drowned. The best lack of all conviction, while the worst are full of passionate intensity.
Enough. Thank you. Go. So, thank you.
Tell us exactly what that was, please.
Yeats. It's Yeats' poem, and it's called The Second Coming. And he wrote it after World War I, and he was a modernist. You know, early, and you know, T.S. Eliot, The Wasteland. That group of poets. But also, I didn't read it. I didn't read that poem and then make the work. It just came as I was making the work. You know, it just came, and that is called The Crossing. That is called The Crossing. This one is called Moon, Geeden, which is the Indigenous word for moon that my sister Lindy told me. Lindy is an expert at Gumbanga language from the Coffs Harbour area. So that's Geeden. Geeden is the moon. But also it's an Aries moon. You know, in astrology, the Aries is the fire sign, the sign of fire. And I wanted it sort of hissing and moving, and I think I've seen a moon like that. I look up. I think you know, after fireworks, I like at the end of the fireworks when you look up and the smoke it's still trailing. Is that weird that I like the end of the fireworks? That picture there is called Ritual, and she is singing. She's singing, and she's in a Victorian dress, and she's got the, you know, the hands. You know, they did that to sing. It opened the chest. So it's sort of operatic, but in real life, that's me, and I actually did start to sing. I started to dance, and I started to sing in another language. And a lot of the images that were shot, to get that image, I took thousands to get it from the back, but then I used the front of me, and I look a little weird because it was taken in the dark, and then I opened it up, and it's not me anymore. Yes, it was me posing, but that's not me anymore. It's a character. The ritual that she does, you see the smoke. So the work, My work has been described as theatrical, staged. The picture behind at the back wall is the fence boy. The fence boy. Now he is our worst nightmare. That is what you see coming over the fence. See, that's what you see when you look out the window. Isn't that great? Now, of course, there doesn't seem to be a date or a location for the work. I don't want it to be. So the woman is in Victorian dress, late Victorian. The swirling skies. Let me talk about something. And I will. Of course I will. Let me talk about Krakatoa. Krakatoa, the biggest explosion in the world. Apparently, it was heard. Is my drink there? Apparently, the explosion was heard in Central Australia, or was it felt? You know the stories about it? Oh, you know, people felt it, people heard it in Central Australia. Well, maybe. So what happened was after Krakatoa was this giant red cloud went around the world. It even made it up to Norway. And Munch saw it, the great Norwegian artist, apparently. He saw it and ended up creating his most famous painting, The Scream, The Scream, the swirling skies. You all know The Scream. He saw the sky, he went berserk, because they had never seen a totally red sky. I guess it would have looked like Tathara, you know, our terrible bushfires we had. Was that about 4 years ago now? It was about 2020, wasn't it? Tathara, the town, that town of Tathara, but everyone was by the water. It was blood red. So I thought of Munch, you know, I think of artists and painters as I make the work, and the swirling skies. And Munch apparently made The Scream 10 years after having seen the sky. So that's like what it's like as an artist. I find you remember something from years ago. It's not, you know, I don't make art with what I'm staring at the moment. It's like, it's not registering. It's what I remember. So I'm making art about what I remember. So apparently Munch, I mean, he certainly suffered from anxiety. You know what kills me in that picture? It's those two friends of his that ignore him. You know, he says, I was walking with friends and they walked ahead of me, or they left him behind. You know when you walk with friends and they leave you behind? And he had a nervous breakdown over it. I would too. I don't like that. Didn't Woody Allen do a send-up of it in one of his films? So there we are, painting. I've talked about music a little bit. So all of this, you know, it all, you know, it's years of my life and everything I read and everything I look at. It all comes into my open-ended fictions. Any questions? Pardon me? Oh, that is Evening Star. And there he is. It's the same boy, but he has the smile of Lucifer. He is a Lucifer. He is the devil, and the horns on his head came. They were natural. That's why his hair, and it was the way the sun behind him lit the horns, and he's the last thing you see. You know, he's that. They come to you, and also the angle, sitting on the floor. I think he's looking down. So you could be on the floor, I don't know. But he's the smiling devil. You know, you don't trust them. You don't trust the smile.
But you like them.
We like them. We're drawn to them. Women are drawn to the bad boys. There's something appealing. Is it?
Yeah, I think so.
There's something appealing about lawlessness.
Lawlessness. It's very appealing. Hmm?
Sorry.
It's like the Western.
It's the Western. That's right. Yeah. And I wanted a feeling of dirt in the pictures. They had to look filthy, and I didn't want to clean it up. So, and also it was dusty at the time when I shot. You know, it was like dust storms all the time and wrecking the, you know, the camera lens. We had to keep cleaning it. Did I follow? Yes, I've covered all of them. So any other questions, please, from the back? Yes?
Do you use a tripod?
Not for this work, but for time lapse, it's always good, isn't it? I didn't use it for that. That was, you know, that was snapped. They were snapped, thousands of images, and I edited them down. I don't know about the moon image, but it's been popular. Yes?
Tracey, these landscapes, which are seemingly empty,
Yes.
but you're filling them in
Yes.
in a way that could be like seeing the history and these blank outback landscapes which have a meaning below the soil. There's something
Yes.
there. We all know,
Yeah.
and we can't see it, but we know that something's gone on out there.
That's right.
And these historic figures that you're planting there, they're kind of part of it. You know, there's a back history here.
So it becomes a still tongueless.
Yes, that's right.
Well, we're still looking into it, and there's many layers that need peeling back.
That's right. Many layers. I like that. Can I steal that? That's good. Many layers. Peeling back. That's good. I like that. I'll write that down. But is she, I don't know if that's the moon or if it's the sun. The moon.
Like she's walking into water.
Oh, yes, people have said it feels like water. It was actually, it was a green shrub that went like that because the camera moved. It was like shrubbery that was green that swished when I moved the camera. And I needed the feeling of sort of speed that she's walking, moving across. Yes.
What camera are you using?
It was a Canon 5D something, you know. Correct. Yes.
I love this one where you were doing. It reminds me of Scarlett O'Hara and Gone with the Wind.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just gorgeous. It's just absolutely marvelous.
Thank you. Yes.
That's her. That's one of her.
Oh,
They panned in on that one.
the famous "I Will Never Go Hungry Again," and she's silhouetted like that against this blood red sky. As God is my witness, I will never go hungry again. Yeah, it's stunning, isn't it? That scene. Yeah, yeah. Oh, I mean, technically, like the movie is a masterpiece.
It is.
Yeah. Yes.
From gazing at your images for more than a couple of seconds, it's hard to remember that it's actually digital work. And how are you wanting us as viewers to experience them? Because you drift off into, you know, these incredible, it's almost like they're paintings in many ways, yet a digital format that's so contemporary, going back to traditional things, and you get these beautiful experiences of both.
That's right. Thank you. No, good. I like that. Yes, Corner.
Are these individual frames from like a singular narrative, so it's pulling out from one storyline?
It could. It's an open-ended narrative. It is what you bring to it. Please, write about it. Yes.
I'm just wondering with romantic painting, like, you know, 19th century painting, even like people like Von Gerard, but British, American, Australian, you know, they're very much the colours. How do you deal with the past?
Oh, I love that era of American romantic poet painting. Who did those sublime landscapes of? Yes. There's like the very orange skies and Oh, that's English, but I'm talking American Romanticism, where they went into the landscape and it might be coal. Yeah, yeah. Yes, I mean, all that. Someone mentioned... People have talked Arthur Boyd. They've walked in and said Arthur Boyd, which is nice. You know, I like that, yes?
What were you trying to do with iridescence? Iridescence is so striking and it comes further into you the longer you look at the work. But what were you trying to do with that?
Again, it's the thing of like the magic hour. And that in fact the images to begin with were very flat. And I had to put that magic in, and it took a long time. And I went a little bit cuckoo doing it. I was like, look, I was unhappy. I was very unhappy making this work, and I'll tell you all right now. And you know, it's not fun. Oh, the artistic process. Enjoy the process. No, no, I do not enjoy the process. And because it took years, you know, another Christmas would go by and I still hadn't finished it. And then again, and then another Christmas, not done, not done. You know, I'm looking at these on the wall of my apartment, my studio where I work. Anyway, I'm just telling you, it's not a walk in the park and it's not fun. And, but it is certainly rewarding to finally have the show up. Thank you, Roslyn and Tony Oxley. Another question.
There's something really apocalyptic about it, post-apocalyptic, you know, the scorched earth. I mean, also post-voice referendum. I'm wondering what kind of resonances are coming through from that for you in this work.
Well, you know, it was nice to connect with ancestral land that I grew up hearing about. You know, talk around the kitchen table, blah, 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 and so on. And then to go out there and my own take on it was, you know, it's like when people go back to Ireland and go to County Cork and find the O'Reillys. You know, it's quite amazing. But then again, I don't want to. It has to spin off into fiction for me. It's got to be. It's coming out of my imagination, and it is not realism. I have no interest in realism or documentary photography. I'm not technically very good with the camera anyway, so if I was to even try it. But that's not really answering the question. That's not answering.
Yeah, but also climate change.
Climate change.
The devastation of the landscape.
You can bring social realist issues to my work if you wish. I never close it down. You don't close it down. And it just another reading. You know, I think a successful artwork is read in many ways. And hopefully it lives on from years from now. And the idea is, as an artist, to not talk it up too much. You don't talk it up because then, in a sense, you are closing off meaning. You close it off, and I just find it such a bore. You know, artists get up and da 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 la 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 la. You know, no. You see how I speak. It's not academic. You know, I can read. I am educated, but I don't need to speak in art theory terms. Can someone actually do it though? Julie Rapp, will you do it? Go on, say. Create something in the liminal space. From Sydney University. No. See, I like to leave it to the scholars. I think it's marvellous, and never say nothing. You know, say nothing as the artist, and A movie?
Yeah.
I think it's a movie. Yeah.
Definitely think it's a movie.
Yes, I can see that. My work has been copied in films and music video and so forth. Also in fashion photography, it has been copied. And I have had to call the lawyers on one occasion. I did. I got some money too. It was really good. So, I mean, if this is going to be an ad for Dior in a year's time. Oh, I make jokes. They call me, the fashion houses, after the Venice Biennale, the wonderful new director of Dior. You know, the Italian woman?
Yeah.
What's her name? I like her. She wears jeans. She wanted me to shoot a campaign. Go to Paris, would I shoot a campaign? I couldn't do it, but it was nice to be asked. And when I lived in New York, because I've been back in Australia now 12 years, the fashion world and the art world would be so close. You know, you were off to the fashion shows. You could just get into the catwalk, the runway shows. It was so easy. Photographers and artists are always mixing, and I was asked, would I photograph a Dior gown, actually, John Galliano designed, and would and they said, you know, Tracey, do it any way you want. You can like throw it in the corner and just photo. I thought that was so sacrilegious to throw a Dior gown in the corner and photograph it and put my name on it. No, I did not do it. But they wanted the artist's sort of edginess. They didn't want it to be just a regular shot of the gown. And was I to throw it around? No, I would never do that. And you know, I don't mind. I mean, I love the fashion world too, but you know, I'm more interested in being an artist. Yes?
I'm just wondering how you choose the size. You've always worked pretty large, but in terms of these,
yes.
the size important?
Restriction in the printing, the actual photo printer and the size of the paper. So I like restrictions, that's all right. And I have this thing about I don't like waste. I don't like to waste. You know, go with the size of the paper, go with that printing machine and so on. Predicted, many elements sort of predict how an artwork will, what it will become. I don't think they would have worked any smaller. They could have gone a bit bigger, but you know, I was frightened that they wouldn't hold. There it is, there's that line, the centre cannot hold. I thought they'd fall apart because they are so on the edge anyway. There's hardly any sharpness in it. You can't, there's a softness, there's a dreamlike softness on them, which was not intentional, but it just came like that because the images, the files were sort of bad. They were bad. I shot it bad. I shot it bad. I shot it in the darkness, and a lot of it was out of focus. So bad photography, you know, reworked. There's no way I could have shot this correctly and had the energy. If I'd shot it correctly, they'd be dead as a doornail. You know, the fact that that's not really very sharp, the moon, makes you think it just has an otherworldly quality. If I had done that in a technically perfect way, we've all seen beautiful images of the moon. It wouldn't have been very special. It was the working with the mistake.
Are we allowed to ask what post-production effects you apply? Do you use like photographic apps or like
yes, all that.
After Effects and
yes, Photoshop and, but also the printing lab, adding colour, taking back, you know. Yes.
You know, thinking of some of your earlier groups like Roslyn or Up in the Sky, and the function of figures in those photographs, they seem to have a determined action, but these are very different. The figures here are almost like the telephone poles, I think.
I like that.
Sort of holding space.
She said the figures in the pictures are almost like the electrical poles, telephone poles. Are they telephone or electric? I don't know. Yeah.
Have you thought about that?
Yeah.
Sort of development or trajectory in your work. Well, I think the role of the figure, I can't quite figure it out yet, but no pun intended. But, you know, I think knowing those earlier works.
There's always a dark woman,
Yeah.
resentful. The dark woman in black. That's Laudanum, that early series I shot in a mysterious location here in Sydney, a historical heritage house, of which I did not reveal, but you all know it was Elizabeth Bay House. I was not allowed to photograph nudity. The board members, they said, of course you can come and photograph, there won't be any nudity. I go, no. I said, no, come and watch me, it's fine. And of course they didn't. They're not going to come. And so I get the model, get your clothes off, get in there. I'll do the shot, hurry up, get. So, yes. Have they ever seen those shots? I don't think they have. So, God forbid. It bordered on soft porn too. I mean, the image.
The other American artist, I think, is Charles Birchfield, you know, with an image like this. Do you know that work?
The painter?
Watercolor painter.
Oh my gosh, he was weird. Wasn't he weird, that painter? Was he, yes, was he disturbed? No, he was great. Say his name loud.
Charles Birchfield.
Yeah, Charles Birchfield. Crazy colours.
Yes.
Oh, he and the house and all the energies coming out of a house, like what's going on. Yeah, I love him. From Buffalo, like you, right? You're a Buffalo. Barbara Flynn is marvellous. She does all the public artwork productions around Sydney, all the public beautiful. But she worked in the magnificent Gagosian Gallery in New York when I lived there, and I went and bought Malik Sidibe photograph from you, the great African photographer. I love that image. I keep that picture. It was cheap at the time too. That 25 years ago, those were the days when you could buy an artwork. Who else? Yes.
I was just wondering about your process before you shoot, because I was been thinking about Up in the Sky, and you talked about how a lot of the movements in that, some of the subjects are improvised, some of that is you staging them. With this, were you storyboarding or were you just improvising, and like how does that work across all your work as well? Absolutely improvising, this one, absolutely. It was 40 degrees heat. I didn't know where I was. I had this model, this local person of which I do not reveal who it is. Absolutely improvise and on the go. Shoot on the go, and it's why the images were bad. You know, they were so bad. And I was depressed about them. I didn't think they'd be anything. A year ago, they looked like brown mud. And Roslyn Oxley knows, because she came to my studio, and there I was presenting mud, saying, "This is my next show." She was great. She was great about it. Roslyn always doesn't say much as an art dealer. She comes into the studio, she doesn't say a lot. Because she really, I think she just knows the artist will get there. You know that we'll all get there in the end, don't you? Yes. Yeah. Convincing, yes. No, we have, I mean, yeah.
Tracey, did you storyboard before you went out there?
I didn't storyboard.
Did you have ideas about this kind of theme?
I had ideas, but I never would have found that tree, the tree behind that photograph. That's a real tree. And, you know, you can just see the hangman's noose going around that. I found it, and suddenly the story was there. So in a second, as you can see, my imagination, it goes places, and within a split second, it's something.
Yeah. So you go out there with an open mind and just...
I ran around by myself, and then the photo crew came, a small crew. when I needed help with costuming, and, you know, I was in a local pub in that Victorian dress, you know, and no one asked any questions. So it was like, you know, may I have a shandy? And I was in like this goth makeup, you know, the eyes, you can see her, around her eyes, I was in this sort of black, I wanted like deep set shadows. And there I was at the pub like that, so waiting for the light to be right, to go out and shoot. You know, waiting for that magic hour. If I'd shot them in broad daylight, the crispness and the clarity would have no ambiance. You know, the softness and the sort of grubbiness, it's a grubby, is very appealing to me. I like that. Yes?
I'm sure we'd all love to know, do you have a favourite, and if so, why?
I don't really. No, I don't have a favourite.
You love them all.
I don't know if it's love. I've been looking at them a lot in the last 3 years. And you know what? I thought it was good for me to not be successful for a long time creating this work. I thought it was good for me to be, in a sense, and I'll say it, a loser, a bad artist. The images were terrible, and I was terribly depressed. It was very good for me, you know, and to have been, you know, a lot of my life and being a successful artist in many ways, to suddenly be not successful really was very humbling, and I just don't want to go through it again. So, yes.
When I first saw your work, I had the sense that you'd physically gone at it with paintbrushes and pastels. Is that something?
Oh, I wish. But I have no feel for the brush and for paint. I have no feeling. I have tried it, and I don't paint and I don't draw. I draw badly. You know, I can draw instructions and so forth, but I have no feel for paint or material. I don't do sculpture. I'm all about the rectangle frame. That is the only thing that's in my brain. You know, that's the only thing I see is the rectangle. And, you know, people say it's years of childhood television. It's the rectangle, right?
Never thought of that.
Yeah. Yes.
So, just going on from what you just said, do you imagine your photographs in a layered sense to create these more depthy kind of layered images? Like, do you imagine?
Do I imagine them? Yeah. No, it came as I was developing. The layers came. You know, adding, withdrawing. You know, it still bothers me. I think it does feel like an inferno behind her, and is the land burning up, and her skin is so red too. You know, that happens with fire. And the title is also open-ended. The burning has many meanings or interpretations, so I don't clamp it down that it means the one thing. It just felt appropriate.
So you kind of get that sense of how you want something to look, and then you art direct someone else to kind of get to that end point, or do you?
Going for an idea, but shooting a lot to get it, shooting a lot.
Yep.
You know, a lot of wastage. And I say to young students, you're not going to get it in 3 goes. Shoot a lot.
Yeah.
You know?
And how long did the process of photographing?
Can I just say something about photography and Diane Arbus, the great photographer? I said she photographed freaks, you know, the square format. It took her 8 visits to the family to get the Jewish giant, the big tall boy, and the image of his little parents looking up at him. That took, like, bugging that family, knocking on the door again. Can I come again? Can you imagine? Like the humbug until she got what she wanted. You know, she kept going at it. For me, I wasn't sure. It's not till you get home and you go through all the files that you think you've got something. But many times you don't have it.
Definitely more cinema than daytime television. Just evoking the history of cinema more than television.
Remember the daytime movie? Remember the Bill Collins and Ivan Hutchins? Oh, I love them. Weren't they great? Oh, I love black and white so much, and I want to explore black and white in my next series. I'm kind of, at the moment, I like making installations. I've done an installation in the Outback called The Haunting. It is a derelict farmhouse that sits alone on a remote highway, and it pulses red light. At the moment, I've got it turned off because I've had a little bit of trouble, and I need help with maintaining it, but it's been turned on for the last 2.5 years. The farmer allowed me to work with this little farmhouse he had, the old farmhouse. And there's talk, of which I will not reveal, of me recreating a similar thing in another state with a museum as a commission.
Also Outback?
Yes, well, in the middle of nowhere. Yes. See, I like that idea of creating an artwork that no one sees. And in fact, only passing truck drivers can see my latest Insta.
What the hell that is?
Well, I made it also while I developed the work because I was depressed staying home, and I'm sick of looking at them, and the fact that they looked like mud. Even just, I think at the beginning of the year they were muddy. The colour was not like this. And suddenly, you know, you hit, you know, in music you hit the note. The note. So is that it? Oh. Was there more? Yes?
You talk about that it took 3 years to do and to get it exactly what it. Do you find it difficult to realise it's exactly what you want, or that you could go further, or that's it?
There's no real that's it. This is what it is for me. I can't go any further. There's no done. I don't know where else to take it, and I think it's saying what it's saying. You know, the image, is it saying, does it feel like an opera? Is she in the dark? I don't know if she's in the dark. See, I had it much darker and I couldn't see her. And I thought that was great. It's like it's about darkness, so it's got to be dark. No, you lighten it up because actually no one can see it. So it's about, I have nowhere else to go, and the artwork is telling you when it's done. And not controlling it at all. By the way, you don't control it. This thing, you know, this thing as an artist, it's telling you. You have to relax into it and go where it's telling you. And I had to do a lot of chanting to get this work done too. I was asking the spirits. I asked the ancestors and the spirits to help me. And I told, I was chanting at night, I still do. I told an Irish artist friend, have you, Jessie Jones, she's kind of witchy, young Irish woman. She had a show at the Venice Biennale at the same time as we'd been friends. And I told her about the spirits, and she said, Tracey, it's because they're not ready to help. So the spirits, it was like when they're ready to help, they'll help. But at the time, they're not ready to help you. Keep asking. She said, it's like when they're ready, they're going to help you. I like that. I love that she didn't even question me, because the Irish, they're so superstitious, and she just thought it was so normal. She thought it was just so normal. Oh yes, ask her, yes. They were not ready to help you.
You said you were singing in that.
I was singing.
Language.
I was singing.
Do you want to say more about what
I don't know what the language is beautiful, and it came. It was a sort of chant, and I don't know what the language was, and it's sort of a little bit personal too. But then mainly it was from the back like this, but then I turned around, and it did look like an opera, a little bit, the chant. And that's almost the only bit of forest or the scraggly bush that felt like You know, I think of, what's the Johnny Depp film? Sleepy Hollow. That great, I love that director, Tim Burton, who did Batman, the first Batman, but his, what was the other one? Tim Burton, Edward Scissorhand, and he's got a magnificent visual style. Yeah.
Thanks very much, Tracey.
Thank you.